Hey Hollywood Hills fans, and welcome back to the show. Now I know it seems like it's been a little bit of a strange start to the year. Well, that's because it has. It's been very stoppy-starty. There hasn't been a lot of traction, there hasn't been a lot of momentum because the weather's been a little bit crazy, and because of that, a couple of events have taken the hit. So as you saw, was it 2-3 weeks ago, the GXCC's their third round unfortunately got swamped out. And it's crazy to talk about that in the racing month of April because normally by April we're talking about dust. This was not dust, it was biblical rain and just swamped things out. So unfortunately that was a no-show, and that obviously gave us less to talk about here at Hollywood Hills. Roll forward into this weekend just gone though, or last weekend should I say, and it was Farm Jam, their second round. Now they'd also moved their calendar out a little bit to make space for a couple of nationals and things like that. They're really good guys and they do tend to make space for a lot of the other tours. Now it's their turn to shine, and we were able to go out to their second round out at Pienaar Dam, a brand new venue, and it really delivered. But it was a bit of a nail biter the night before because massive rain came. When me and the LiveX lads went out on the Friday, and that was to go check out our camera positions, you could see that the ground was totally saturated, but it wasn't muddy at that stage. But race day morning, after the big rains the night before, it was clear that it was going to be a mudder. But the cool thing was plenty of river crossings to kind of like give the guys almost like time to wash their bikes off, which is cool because the mud was very much surface mud. But anyway, I'm waffling away here. This is Farm Jam round number 2. It was an epic one, and my hat is fully off to my boys at LiveX because they bled to put this edit together. You'll see why. Mud is the story of Farm Jam round number 2 at Pienaar Dam.
This Farm Jam, driven by Dunlop Racing Action, is proudly brought to you by Subaru Nelspruit and Polysport. After a wait of nearly 2 months, round 2 of the incredible Farm Jam Hare Scramble series rolled into a brand new venue. Pienaar Dam would be hosting us for what would be known as the wet one. Yes, it was April, we were racing, and the rains were still with us. But the crowds came, the riders were amped, and everyone was excited to rip the bars off once again. Leon, finally at round number 2 for the Farm Jams, and even though we had rain last night, it looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day.
Yeah, I think we were so blessed with the rain last night. No dust out there for the guys. I think it's going to be an awesome day. Weather looks fantastic, and it's time. We had to race.
The morning session would be all about our juniors, our ladies, and our Pro 85s going out there. 2 big laps, the juniors on a 13 and the 85s and ladies on the big 25er, although they would be using the easy version of the course. Everyone was amped and ready, but vision and traction were going to be the talking points of the early laps. Nearly 300 riders made the trip to Pienaar Dam as we dropped the flag for round number 2. The 85 pros were first out of the gate to take on the challenge that would be the big course, 25Ks for them. Local superstar Mitch Fallon got the cheese, riding out of the Vans Racing Husky squad. Great to see him back at full race pace and fitness, but he was out of the championship. He was going to be watching his mirrors because the big swingers were going to be coming for him hard on lap number 1. For the ladies' gate, the reigning queen of the Farm Jams, that is our very own Catherine Mostert, got clear air, and she did that as well. She was out there in her bright white kit, trying to stay out of all the roost. She was the lady to beat, but remember, we had the returning Roxy Nell coming back into the mix. She would be challenging for a podium, no doubt. Back onto the junior gate in the 85 juniors, a massive field, couple of riders going down, but when it came to the cheese, it was Jaden Alls, who's looking comfortable now on his 85 as he went out there and left all the rest of the riders to deal with the chaos that was entering into the whole shot 4x4 terrain. 85 juniors was going to be a wild one. No one could call who was going to walk away with that one. On the 65 pros, it was a little bit more clear cut as Mackenzie Bam got another big hole shot. She was going to be leading the fastest boys out there. John-Luc van der Vesthuizen smashed his way through into an early number 2 spot. He's so good off the gate and off the throttle jammer, and he was going to have to do some learning out there on the big course as he still gets used to the 65. On the junior 65s, it was a little bit wild, some whiskey throttle coming out the gate, the kids getting a little bit loose, a little bit crazy, and it was going to be the whole shot going to Jean Blanche. He would be the kid to beat on this new development gate that Farm Jam brought in as a new initiative to the 2022 season. On the 50s, no surprise at all. It seems to be if you are riding on the Vans Husky squad and you're on the 50cc gate, you're the whole shot superstar. Last season, it was all about Jean-Luc van der Westhuizen. This season, it is his new teammate, Declan Richards. Hammer time and unbeaten off every gate this season. Before we go out onto the track, we went back into the pits to talk to course director Leon van der Westhuizen about what was in store. Almost 300 entries, so it's looking good. Good numbers for the juniors as well. Talk me through the junior group.
Yeah, entries are fantastic, and it's a big up to the guys for supporting Farm Jam. Junior race, they got a 13k loop. Most of it is grasslands. They're coming back to the pit areas a little bit rocky. There they're going to be using their technical skills. But yeah, I think they got a good loop, and I'm happy to see the numbers on the juniors growing every time, so that's awesome.
As the morning session got underway, it was clear that the standing water was going to be a factor. Although the mud holes weren't getting deep, the roost was high, and everyone was really battling with vision and traction. But as they got used to the terrain, they got more and more comfortable racing in their 2 hours of morning session. Loads of sweepers, marshals, and helpers out there to make sure our junior superstars were comfy and happy. Out onto the track then and picking up what was going down in the 50cc's. DC Daniel rocked a number 5 with Dirk van Niekerk up in a number 4. Caleb van Heerden, who had a good gate, was a number 3 with Oliver Oberholzer in the number 2 spot. But Declan Richards put on a show of dominance that we haven't seen since Jean-Luc hammered the nail last year. A full 7-minute victory over his closest rival. We're only 2 rounds into the championship, and Richards is way and far above the rest of the field. Another win and more points on the tally. On the 65 juniors, Andreas Schiepers rocked his way up to a number 5 finish, with Zach Attack Stubbs moving his way into a number 4. Stubby is getting real comfy. He's found a track that was really to his liking, and he really gelled very, very well with the layout here at Pienaar Dam. Stubby challenging for number 4. Breaking into the top 3 then was all about Dalton Powell. Powell, also a kid that was good off the gate, had a good first couple of laps that put him in a good position to find his rhythm nice and early. He was able to defend the number 3 spot all the way to the line. Leon van Niekerk is a name that we will start thinking about a little bit more. He is dangerously close to walking away with a big win on the Farm Jam Hare Scramble Tour. Second place and not too far back off the winner. Only a 2-minute deficit this time around. Jean Blanche is the 65 rider to beat on the junior gate at the moment. And Blanche and the Yamaha gelled perfectly once again to get himself going there. He's no doubt going to be the kid to beat for the rest of the 65 Junior Tour. These are the guys that he's going to be racing against next year, though, on the pro gate for the 65s. Daniel Peterson did a good job of things to keep all of that roost out of his eyes. I think that was his little trick. He had goggles and glasses so he could see the whole way through the day. 5th place will keep him in good shape as well, and actually pick up the pace going forward into round number 3. Liam Schiepers, who's starting to get comfortable on his 65cc machine, riding out of the CIT sleepover squad. He made the trip up there with his dad to rock out to a number 4 ride. Ruud van der Beer, who so nearly got the whole shot. He came out of the gate into the 2nd place and only dropped down 1 position to 3rd come the end of play on the day. The J118, super comfortable out there on the mixed terrain at Pienaar Dam. Mackenzie Bam, although she got the big hole shot, She was the first rider on that gate to see some of the big mud bogs, and she went down hard twice. She had to pick herself up and eventually would settle for the number 2 spot. That meant another local rider, GJ Kutsia, came good. He is in sublime form in the 2022 running of the Farm Jam Hare Scrambles, and GJ Kutsia is now going to be a massive threat to the title for the 65cc Pros in 2022. For the 85 juniors, which gave us a wild gate, Trompie van der Heever came flying out of the gates. He was positioned nicely inside the top half of the field and managed to climb up the ladder to eventually finish with the number 5 spot. One of the bigger kids off the gate, so that definitely helped him when it came to some of the tech zones. Willem Buerter up the road from him on a number 4 finish. Also a rider who would like things a little bit more technical, but he was good enough in the fast sections to stay inside of that magical top 4. Paulus van Niekerk was hammering the nail as he climbed up into the tippy top and into the top 3 finishes. Up the road from him was 2 tasty lads. Coming off the big hole shot and his first season on the big bikes, last year tough to beat him on any track or any series on the 65s. But this year, it's all about learning on the 85 juniors for Jaden Els. The whole shot and only dropping 1 position to this dude, Willem Jacobs. The times were pretty tight come the end of play on the day as well. Round about 6 minutes between Jacobs and Els for the win. But it's Jacobs with a W117 on the tippy top for the 85 juniors. For the ladies, yeah, they were having a great time out there. Marissa van Rooyen on a new machine after her bike got stolen in between rounds 1 and 2. She has almost no development on this bike, but she was still comfortable enough to bring the new machine home into a number 5 spot. Van der Moe, so strong in the early laps, great out of the gate, and was on the back wheel of Catherine Mostert in the early stages of the race, but also got jammed up in some of the more tech zones and dropped down to a number 4 finish come the end of the day. Back into racing, it's been almost 2 seasons since we've seen the incredible Roxy Nell, who was a great challenger in the 2019 and 2020 season for the Farm Jams. She's back on the money and back onto the box in 3rd place. Abigail Bonsack, who looks to be the only lady on certain tracks as we roll around the Mpumalanga region and go Farm Jam Hare Scramble racing that can hold a candle to the overall race winner. Abigail Bonsack, when the track suits her, will be an absolute pinner. She records a rock-solid number 2 finish once again, not too far off the back wheel of the queen of the Farm Jams, Catherine Mostert. Mostert, like we say, rocking in that ASR bright white kit, had to get the big hole shot, and she kept it clean. 2 hours 14 and another win. She has gone undefeated on the season so far as we head to round number 3. On the 85 pros out there on the big track as well, Ron Kruger was good enough for a number 5 spot. The pace of these dudes out there on the big track is something to behold. Up the road from him was the number 4, Mitchell Fallon. But remember, Mitch is coming back from his injuries that he was carrying at the latter half of last season. So even though he got the big hole shot, he's still not at race fitness, and he records a number 4 just to get his name on the charts. 3rd place in a rider that is at full fitness and at full pace. Record Webster, very polished in his riding for the last couple of seasons. 3rd place for him. Big Mig in the number 2 spot this time around. Watch out for this championship to really heat up. Miguel Gavina was the number 1 ranked rider coming into this round. Himself and Stian van der Heever were bashing bars the whole way through the 2 hours of the morning session, but in the end there can be only one winner. It came down to the final 2 laps where Stian van der Heever pulled the pin on Gavina and got a little bit of a gap, and I do mean a little bit. Come the end of the race, there was less than 1 minute advantage, but that's all you need. Van der Heever got his win going at round number 2. So the morning session done and dusted. Here's confirmation of the results. 85 pros, Van der Heever getting it done over Kavina, Webster and Fallon, with Kruger and Opperman squeaking the top 6. For the ladies' gate, no surprise to see Catherine Mostert there, but Bonsack is picking up the pace and improving with every rider return to the podium for Nel, ahead of Mao, Van Rooyen and Fourie. In the 85 juniors, Willem Jacobs gets his big win. That's going to be incredible to see him now filled with confidence as he beats out Els and Vannie Kirk. For the 65 pros, GJ Coetzee gets it done, and he's now going to be flying with good points into round number 2 ahead of Bam and De Beer. For the 65 juniors, Jean Terblanche and that Yamaha, the pair to beat as he bests Vannie Kirk, Powell, Stubbs, Skippers and Smit. And on the 50cc's, the king of the junior squad, Declan Richards beats out Oberholzer, Van Heerden, Vannie Kirk. Daniel and Duprier, with only 1 lap counted, still gets the number 6 finish. That was the morning session as we get ourselves ready for going forward into the afternoon show, the big senior bike gates. With that 2-month gap between rounds 1 and 2, everyone was keen as mustard to get out there. They'd have been very aware of the rain that came down the night before, and looking at some of the juniors roosted, covered in mud, coming in at the end of their race. But didn't matter. Racing is racing, and everyone was keen to drop the hammer and get out there to get the job done. 5 racing laps for the pro riders were on the cards. S1 pros were unleashed first with Ruan Smith and the Gas 450 getting clear air. That was going to be important. He had the Sherco of Aldo Low on his wheels and the privateer entry coming in from the dirt squad of Philip Desquizil. He was the big surprise package from round number 1 and was placed well here in the early stages of round number 2 as well. Second gate, the S2 pros, where we would no doubt see some of the fastest lap times for the day. Devon Smith, the devastator for the Vans Husky Racing Squad, got the best of Peter Delport, but Delport was in good form in this season as well and went out of the whole shot queue on the wheel of the Husky Pro. S3 pros, a smaller field this time around, but not watered down. In fact, it was going to be a nail-biter as 2 of the very best went out of the gate, both riding out of Vans Racing Husky. It was Stormy Viljoen and Elru van der Westhuizen, the old war of 4-stroke versus 2-smoker. For the seniors, it was going to be a wild one. We had Marco Cocci lining up, Jannie Potgieter, and the track would suit some of the flatland riders as well, but none of those firm favourites hit the front early. They would have to plough traffic before they could see clear air. For the crazy Masters Gate, it was Kramer versus Kramer, or in this case, Kavina versus Kavina. Both brothers going down and taking out Tony Krief on the way, which meant it was Subaru's Dua Stassen that got the whole shot and quickly got passed by Captain Kirk. Those 2 ran out front, and they would try and make the most of their advantage before the rest of the pre-race hopefuls came through and started the chase down. Onto the amateur gate, starting out with the S1s. It was going to be all about Ruan Rousseau. He got some clear air, and he left what would be chaos behind him. Remember, if you cannot get a good gate coming out of the Hare Scramble format, you are going to be in traffic, and more importantly, out here at Pienaar Dam, in roost very early on. The S2 amateurs, no surprise to see the hammer that is Kyle Potgieter get dropped. He was off the front and gone from the early stages. He'd be chasing down a top 10 finish in the overalls. And then the S3 amateurs, Raymond Language on the 72, got his clear break that he wanted. He was going to go and chase a little bit further up the road to see if he could break into the top 20 in the overalls. For the track, Leon takes us through Pienaar Dam. The big loop, kind of a strange area to work in, but it looks like you found every little bit of tech you could, but the rest of it gives the guys a little bit of resting time as well.
Yeah, I think we're sticking to the Hare Scramble format, so a little bit of tech, a little bit of faster stuff, but in total I think the loop's going to be for everyone today. Not that technical, but enough to challenge them.
River crossings today?
Yeah, we got about, on the senior loop they got about 8 river crossings, but nothing too serious. All the river crossings are full like rocky sort of areas, so it won't become muddy. I think it's going to be awesome.
The track was going to be one of those wild ones. Stories aplenty come the end of this day. Mud was there, river crossings were there, and rocks were there. Everything to keep everyone busy, our cameramen happy, and the riders focused throughout their afternoon event. Although on paper the track looked relatively easy, add a little bit of mud and overnight rain, and things turn moist and interesting. By the end of loop number 1, and certainly by the end of loop number 2, everyone knew what they were in for the rest of the day. In the S3 novice gate, Bert Moe got a good run of pace going to make sure that he was able to squeak his way inside of a top 5, with Sorrel van der Berg just up the road from him, squeaking a top 4 ride. The novice riders putting in some respectable lap times, but certainly coming home with stories and tales of terror from the mud at Pienaar Dam. T. Borchers was up the road trying to chase down his way inside of a top 3. A couple of riders making some errors of line choice. Remember, there are 2 sections on the track when we go out racing at Pienaar Dam that give the riders an easy or a hard run. Both were getting challenging. GD Koch was into a number 2 spot, with Stubby Jerome Stubbs squeaking a win on the S699 to win out in the S3 novice category. 2 hours and 21 minutes out there in the saddle to get it done for Stubby. Up the road, as you would expect, some slightly faster lap times coming in from the S2 novices. Bronson Engelbrecht, who would have preferred things possibly more tech, but he did a good job of things on the day to stay inside the top 5, with Koos Language taking the Yami to a number 4 finish. Koos doesn't seem to have a hole in his bag of skills. He's able to go fast in the flatland, deal with the rocks and mud. When he gets tech or quick, he can bring home the finish. Frederic Rousseau was inside of the top 3. Watch out for him to improve in his championship standings coming out of round number 2 as well. With Neil Olofser into a number 2 spot, trying to chase down onto the back wheel of Lauren Shanguin. Shanguin was a bit of a surprise package at this round as he now climbs up as a potential championship threat in the S2 novices. The S1 novice gate is going to be the big bikes. For most of the riders out there, this was going to be great terrain. The bigger bikes putting down a little bit more horsepower than the rest to get them out of trouble easier. Johan Korf taking a number 5 finish with a good buddy and a riding partner as well, Manus Dixon, into the number 4 spot. Third place on the day would go to Donald Struthers as he walked away with a racing time of 2 hours and 29 minutes, not too far off the pace of the big swingers inside of the top 2. Sean Vermaak on the 666 got it done, stayed out of trouble for the most part of the day, but was unable to catch up to the stellar pace, consistency and form that is Greg Parkin. Parkin has come into the season in great fitness, great fettle and a good setup on his machine. Good result at round number 1, great result at round number 2. We'll see him topping the championship standings. Up the road and breaking into the amateur category, Jaco Foster battled on the rocks, but picked up the pace in the flatlands. That kept him in number 5. Vincent Labuskakny, again, you'd expect to see Vinny a little bit better on the rocks, but as the mud got dragged onto those rocks, they were slick, slick, slick. Number 4 spot for Vinny. And 4-4-4 into the number 3 spot. Devan Pieterse did a great job. Came out of the gate inside of the top 50, so he was positioned well to stay out of the trouble in the early laps. Even though it was a whole shot for Raymond Language, he only dropped 1 position. So he knows where the gaps are in his training. He just faded a little bit towards the end of the race, but second place for the L72 is still a good spot. Hanro van der Sant, he was a little bit quicker and then some. He really gave it to the rest of the S3 amateur field to walk away with the big one off his gate, and he heads to round number 3 in great form for his championship challenge. S2 amateurs was a fast one as well. Most of these riders do like things a little bit more tech, but there was something of a mixture between old school and new school tech and fast at this round. Monet Kotze was good enough for a number 5 spot, with Henny Widget breaking a number 4. Rian Labuskakny was third with Koos Language in the number 2 spot, but they were all way off the back wheel of Carl Potgieter. Even though Potgieter on the fast racing KTM was carrying an ankle injury, he was still fast, excuse the pun, enough to hammer the nail on the rest of the field. He walked away in the amateurs with the fastest lap of the day, and he broke well inside of the top 10 in the overalls. For the S1 amateurs, number 5 spot for Ryan Fasaki, another rider who does like things mixed in the terrain, and he really came back with positive feedback on this event. Enjoyed his day out there big time. Graham Trembling, who had a good gate, dropping down to a number 4 spot as he was able to defend from Fasaki, but could not get onto the back wheel of Jason Lightfoot. Lightfoot is a rider on the comeback trail as well, coming back from a ton of injuries for the last couple of seasons. And Lightfoot, one of those happy, smiley riders, is going to get better and faster as the season goes on. Great to see Jason Lightfoot, even though he's not back at full pace or fitness, return to the podium with a 3rd place ride. Ruan Rousseau, who pulled the big hole shot coming out of the gate, did a good job of work halfway through, was only passed eventually by Aston Allen for the win. But Ruan Rousseau's race pace and consistency show that he is going to be in it to win it for the rest of the season. Aston Allen on the A36 did a great job to make an early pass to see clear air, and then consistency pays the bills, locked it in and walked away with the win. On the stacked field that is the Masters category, Romano Cavino, after torpedoing his brother, managed to pick up the pace into a number 5 spot, and Tony Krief, who got taken down by the Cavinas, managed to improve to a number 4 come the end of the day as well. Good to see Tony finding his race pace once again as he swaps out machinery from a Husky to a KTM between rounds 1 and 2. Pierre Smith was benefiting from the downed riders in the early stages and ran away off the front to get a 3rd place ride. Rudy Cavina plowed the entire field, bar one rider, to get himself up from the back of the pack to eventually finish inside of a number 2 spot, which means we got a tiebreaker for the championship heading into round number 2, because Kirky got the win, backing up his 2nd place at round number 1. Sean, Captain Kirk, on the gas, riding out of Fast and Liquid Molly, put on a stellar show. He knew that he had to get away because Cavino was going to hunt him down. Kirky, though, on top once again. That's a tiebreaker for the Masters heading to round 3. For the seniors, it was anyone's bet who was going to walk away with this one on a track that possibly suited around about 7 different riders. Andre Mostert, who is known as more technical in his riding, was a little bit of a fish out of water in the high-speed flatland stuff, but made up time in the tech zones, 5th place for him. Andrea Casillo, also a tech rider, also had to just survive this one. 4th place is a low result by his high standards, but it keeps him in the championship hunt. Hugo LaRue did an incredible job and found a track that really suited his more aggressive riding style, the 700, walking away with a 3rd place. He actually got the whole shot and only dropped off 2 positions throughout the race. Jorik Zeeman, his highest finish in the senior gate as well, giving him a number 2 ride. Zeeman, a surprise package on the seniors, and watch out for the championship to change dramatically as we head to round number 3. Marco Cocci was in a all-out war in the early laps with Yanni Potgieter. Eventually, the 500cc rider bowing out with technical difficulties, leaving the Yami man to run and hide. Cocci gets the big Farm Jam win at round 2. Into the pro gates, and the S3 Pro men gave us a 4-rider compliment. Renier de Klerk, even though he was 4th place, that's going to see him jump up the order inside of the top 5 in the championship standings. Alru van der Westhuizen, who was on for challenging for a win, but he had some gear shifter issues round about the halfway marker of the race, had to go out there, lost a lot of time in the pits, and claw back a 3rd place finish come the end of play. For the hole shotter, his good buddy and teammate on the Vans Racing Husky squad, Stormy Viljoen, had a similar day. Unfortunately, late on in the race, due to the muddy conditions, absolutely fried his clutch and had to go clutchless for the last 3 laps of the race. That saw him drop down to 2nd place when he was odds-on favourite to walk away with his first Farm Jam win of the season. A win is out there, ready and waiting for a now in form Storm. That meant we had a new winner on the tour, and great to see new blood rise to the top as well. With the mechanical issues for Viljoen and van der Westhuizen, that meant that Ruben Pieters got himself on top That's going to change things up for the championship standings, and it's anyone's bet who is going to show up and win round number 3, and therefore go on to fight for the championship. Ruben Pieters, welcome to the top step of the podium, taking the first win in the S3 Pro category. Up the road then into the S2 Pros, where we saw some big pinners and fast lap times coming in. David Kotzer taking a number 5 spot finish, trying to chase down onto the rest of the riders. But the top 4 riders in the S2 Pros did make it into the top 12 riders in the overalls. So the pace was super quick. Vernon Nordia, who looks comfortable now on the 444 350 machine, he got a number 4 finish, although he does like things a little bit more wide open, and maybe it was the tech this time that slowed him down. Peter Delport came out of the gate firing and banging, getting a number 2 spot out of the whole shot, and only dropped 1 position on the race to get a number 3 ride going. Put your money on this guy to walk away with podium finishes at every single round of the championship for the Farm Jam Hare Scrambles. He can bring home the bacon every single time. So it was Kevin Janssen van Rensburg, who just improves every single time we see the kid riding. 2nd place this time around. And if the chips fall in his favor, he could well walk away with a win. He's going to have some real good luck on his side though, because his closest rival is way up the road. Something like 20 minutes was the advantage on the gate for the S2 Pros for the devastator, Devon Smith. Devon Smith, who is the reigning overall Farm Jam 2021 champion and the S2 reigning champion in category, once again hammered the nail on the rest of the field, taking the category win as well as the fastest time and the fastest laps of the day in the overalls. Devon Smith, the devastator, remains the man to beat at Farm Jam. And then on to the big bangers, where it was cool to see the S1 Pro lineup, where a former surfer dude, we used to call him Marcel Meyer, historically an S2 Pro racer, able to run podiums at every single race. Now, in the last couple of seasons, turning his attention to more enduro-style riding, Meyer came back just to get some miles in and tagged a respectable number 5 ride. Wiley Harrington, who's been on the Farm Jam Tour for many, many seasons, really enjoyed this more old-school track to get himself a number 4 ride. Aldo Lowe, also a much more technical rider, he definitely excelled when it came to the slick rocks, but he had to drop time in the lowlands, dropping him down to a 3rd place. Philip Desquizil was the surprise package of round number 1, and to watch him ride, it almost looks like he's not trying, but the pace is very good. He's got a great setup on his machine, riding out of the dirt squad, and once again, 2nd place and inside the top 5 overall come the end of the day. Philip Desquizil, definitely going to be a championship threat. Ruan Smith, though, found a track that was to his liking, a great setup for himself and for the track's gas. The dude who literally had to drag his big bike around at round number 1 to stay inside of the top 6, walked away with a dominant win at round number 2 to see himself climb up in the championship standings. Heading to round number 3, watch out for Ruan Smith to be a key player inside of the top runners for the championship. Smitty finally gets his win streak going again. That was Pienaar Dam. That was Farm Jam round number 2. Here's confirmation of the results. S1 Pro Gate saw Ruan Smith get his first win in a long time, ahead of Desquizil, Lowe, Harrington, Meyer, and Berger. Fast lap times for the big bangers. S2 Pros and the overall win going to the devastator Devon Smith, ahead of Janssen van Rensburg, Delport, Nordia, and Kotzer. And in the S3 Pros, we've got a new kid on top. Ruben Pieters gets it done, beating out on Stormy Viljoen and Van der Westhuizen, with Renier de Klerk points for the 4th spot finish. Seniors, Marco Cocci fighting hard for that big win at round number 2, ahead of Zeman, LaRue, Casillo, and Mostert, with Liversage down there in 6th place. And the Masters Gate, Captain Sean Kirk ties things up. Watch out for that rivalry to just get even better, with Kavina, Smit, Krief, Romano Kavina, and Modi Pool in a number 6. For the amateur gates, the S1 AMS gave us Aston Allen on top, ahead of Rousseau, Lightfoot, Trembling, Fasaki, and Gerber. In the S2 AMS, no surprise to see the king that is King Kyle Potgieter on top, ahead of Koers Language, with Labuskakny in 3rd, ahead of Widget, Kutzer, and Mostert. In the S3 AMs, Hanro van der Sant looks hard to beat this season. Raymond Language in the number 2 spot ahead of Pieterse, Labuskakny, Foster and Smallberger on the Yamaha this time around. S1 Novice going to the unstoppable Greg Parkin. He is a force of nature in the 2022 season ahead of Vermaak, Struthers, Dixon, Korf and Channing rounding out our top 6. Breaking into the S2 Novice, Lauren Shangguan puts his name on top for the first time ahead of Olofse, Rousseau, Language, Engelbrecht and Labuskakny. And our final gate, the S3 Novices, where Stubby, Jerome Stubbs this time, beat out on Cock, Borchers, Vanderberg, Moe and McLaughlin. And as always, we head down to the pits to get some muddy, moist reactions coming out of Pienaar Dam.
Graham, how was your farm jam today?
Yeah, it was a bit wet today. I don't think I've seen so much mud before, but yeah, it was good though. Finished 4th in my class, so I'm happy.
First thing, I want to just introduce my baby. That's a 2006 KDX that I just did 4 laps with. Fantastic bike. I had the most fun. It was just awesome, eh? It was very muddy, got stuck a lot, but yeah, we made it and we finished.
This was awesome. It was an awesome track. It was well laid out. Very muddy, very slippery, but it was lekker.
It was an amazing event. We didn't expect such a wet race today. I'm actually a GCC racer. I'm new to the farm jams. I actually decided to try out the farm jams this year. As you can see, I'm on the Gas 450, and most of the guys say I'm crazy to enter the S1 Pro class on it. Everyone's on 300s, but I'm enjoying the 450 a lot. This is an awesome event. I really like it. It's cross-country type of event, almost like a GNCC in America. It's the old Scramble type of racing in SA, so I really like it.
Well, challenging. We used it actually for a bit of practice. We had rocks. All of the guys sitting here, they're all sitting here actually. Don't want to speak to anybody here, but it was lucky actually for a bit of practice. I mean, difficult one for us. We're not used to this type of style, or riding style actually, but very nice actually.
Some technical, very rocky, very muddy, but all good fun.
Today went quite good. Not the best, I think, because it was too muddy. It's not, I'm more like an enduro rider, so this is a bit too fast for me, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoy the farm jams, and I'm actually happy that I could take the win again. It was not easy, because the girls are very competitive, but it was very nice, thank you.
Baie modder.
So, dis het jou eerste farm jam?
Nee, ek het laas jaar op die 50s gery.
Op die 50s en jy is nou op die 65s?
Ja.
En hoe vind jy dit?
Dit is baie lekkerder en die 65 is vinniger.
First 2 laps was okay, but the third was, they were just outside the gate. I came down, lost my contacts and was blind most of the race.
It was tough, eh? Slippery, very slippery. Every turn you would go and there was a mud bog everywhere, and the mud was just insane. A lot of nice rivers there.
This water was just something else. Like you have to take the right line. It was not easy choosing lines because everywhere is just muddy, but yeah, it's not bad.
It was fun. It's just, yes, it's a lot of mud. It's a lot of mud. So, but it was good fun. Everything was good. The layout was nice. The pits is nice. As always, great fun.
It was quite hard. A lot of mud. I think it's enough mud for one day. Otherwise, if it was not for the mud, it was quite well race, marked out properly. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It's just like I said, too much mud for one day.
I was lekker. It was a look at job.
That's it. And obviously a little bit wetter than most people expected. How did you take it?
It's my first one, so I wouldn't have anything to compare it to, but there was definitely some wet rats out there.
Fantastic. And are we going to see you at the next one?
Absolutely.
Is this your first farm jam?
No, this is my 3rd one. Yeah, I had one last year, and now I want to do all the farm jams. All the farm jams.
So it's safe to say we'll see you again?
Oh, definitely. It was amazing. Yeah. Thanks to all the guys, organizers, everything. It was great.
Do you think you're going to do the next one?
Yeah, 100%, for sure.
Of course, definitely. No doubt.
Indeed, yes. I'm going to try get to top 10, because I think I got 12th.
Most definitely.
Definitely, I'm going to be at every single farm jam this year. Yes.
Of course. We're always there.
Definitely. Thanks.
Yeah, you're definitely going to see me there.
So no, thanks for Leon. Very great race. We'll definitely come again.
that was all the action from Pienaar Dam, a new round and a new venue on the tour for the 2022 Farm Jam Hare Scramble Championship. It's been a moist one, and we can't wait to see what the rest of the championship tour has in store. This was a crazy one. This round 2 Farm Jam Hare Scramble racing action powered by Dunlop was proudly brought to you by Subaru Nelspruit and Polysport.
So that was all about Farm Jam. Now we get ourselves ready to go forward into the racing month of May. It's going to be a wild one. We go straight basically into setup for round 3 of the 424s. You can see that we've been working with Big Jono and all of his crew out there. That tour is starting to really pick up momentum. We're back on the money as far as GXCCs go, and that's going to be at the end of the month. And we get ourselves ready for round number 3 of the Farm Jams, and that's going to be at a yet to be announced venue, but the boys say they've got one. They've been out there, alles is mooi. Green lights all the way. So they're going to let us know as soon as they can actually give the green light. They just want to tick a few more boxes and make sure the rest of the month is racing clean. But that's going to push us forward into now deep into winter. That's going to be rolling forward into the racing month of June. For now though, enjoy the show. It's going to be great to be back on the money, back racing and working with all the guys. So now with Hollywood Hills and LiveX, we are on GXCC's Farm Jam and 424, and we've already been approached by 2 other tours as well. So hopefully we're making sure that we are doing it right and keeping it going. But for now, we get ourselves ready for next week's show, where we introduce you to one of our main sponsors, the guy that came on board and saved the production for GXCCs, and that is Big Chris from Mastercars VW Hatfield. And we talk to Vian going forward into their next round at Radium. For now, stay safe.